Good morning, Unity to the Hills. Happy Sunday. We are so grateful that you've chosen to spend your Sunday morning with us. Before we jump into the kind of coming up, I just want to give a big shout out to Des, our facilities manager, who helped me put some new wallpaper up on the back wall here in my office, which is where we film all of our videos. So let us know in the comments what you think. And while you're at it, say hello to your fellow congregants and just check in with each other. This is a great time to create that community that we are. And I'm so grateful for this community. Speaking of gratitudes, we raised $130 for Project Transitions as part of our new Sharing is Caring campaign. The way that campaign works is for every share during the live service, we donate $5 to a different organization that's doing great work out in the world. And this week, this Sunday, we are supporting an organization called Survive to Thrive. So let me tell you guys a little bit about them. Their mission is to provide life-changing resources and support to displaced victims of domestic violence and abuse, to assist them in creating their own sustainable path to recovery, self-sufficiency, and success. We're so grateful for organizations that exist like Survive to Thrive. And if that speaks to your heart and or you want to help grow and spread the message of unity, then just take a moment and share today's service while we are live. And before we get started with the Sunday service, I've got another member of Celebration who wants to say hello.
Good morning, Unity family. It's Lori Plick. You guys know me from the counting team and from Celebration. I've been at Unity Church for about 10 years, and I've really missed being up there and just joining you and giving hugs and singing with you. Since I was stuck at home, I decided to go ahead and have knee surgery, which means I've had a little PT and a new way of working out. Best COVID workout ever. I hope to see you soon, Unity family.
Think about the goodness. Think about the grace that brings us through. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of our Creator's love. There can be no measure of our Creator's love. Think about God's love. Think about the goodness. Think about God's grace that brings us through. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of our Creator's love. There can be no measure of our Creator's love. We are one, Lord. We are one. about the goodness. Think about God's grace that brings us through. For as high as the heavens above, so great is the measure of our Creator's love. There can be no measure of our Creator's
Welcome, everyone, and thank you, Celebration. We appreciate you and honor you, and I am so grateful you are here all the time, every Sunday. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills, everyone. We are so grateful for all of you watching today. I am grateful to be here. I literally dusted off my nice shoes to show up for church today. It's been a minute since I've been able to welcome you, and I'm so grateful to do so today. We take a moment now and give thanks for all our prayer chaplains holding space today and to receive one-on-one prayer. Following today's service, just give us a call at 512-814-5365 and leave a message with your name, phone number, and your prayer request, and a chaplain will call you back. Now, our children, youth, angels, and teachers continue to meet in virtual formats like Facebook groups and Zoom, and we take a moment to focus our hearts on all of them and behold, absolutely behold the Christ that they are. We are so grateful as well that they are here, and they had a beautiful parade yesterday outside. And it has been a lovely week for everyone meeting around here. The ladies' high tea was yesterday. People have come by to pick up their kits for that. They were out in the foyer. You knew I would get that in, didn't you? Foyer. They came to the foyer. And we are just so grateful for the presence of everyone here. Now, our mission statement will appear on your screen in a moment, and let's speak that out loud together. We put God first, celebrate life, serve truth, and empower people to transform their lives. Now, if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living that honors all paths to God. And wherever you are in your spiritual path, we are so glad you have found us today, and we'll meet you there wherever you are on that spiritual path. In fact, yesterday at the high tea, we had some newcomers to our community, and we hope that you are here with us today, and we welcome you along with anyone else who is new. Now, if you want to know more about us, just type the word connect in the comments, and an ambassador will reach out to you. And we've set up a virtual greeting card for Dr. Raz to thank him for his time here at Unity Church of the Hills. Just yet another beautiful being that we are grateful for. If you haven't had a chance to contribute, visit unityhills.org for the link to our Kudo board. And Dr. Raz, if you're watching, and we hope you are, we are so grateful, and we thank you so much. Many blessings to you and Tina, and we see you whole and well and perfected in who you are. And with that, we'll go ahead and begin our opening prayer. Living, loving Spirit, sweet friend God, all that is, everything that is, we are so grateful to be in this moment and in this presence with you inside us. There is nothing but God here, nothing but love here, nothing but light here, nothing but peace and wholeness and wellness here. And we are so grateful for all that. We are grateful for celebration. We are grateful for the team that cares for and makes sure that this broadcast gets out. We are grateful for the staff here, and we are especially grateful for Jean, who will be bringing us our message later in this service. We are grateful for all the teachers. We are grateful for all the children, and all of you who come together to bring this community your love, your light, your gifts, your talents. And we see that love and that expression of who you are and who we are as a community moving out into the world, making a difference and celebrating us as a higher consciousness, just as Jean will speak to that experience of higher consciousness today. We are indeed grateful and live in the peace and the love and the light that we are all one. And so it is, and we let that be, knowing that the Christ presence is within us all. Amen.
In case you missed it in the opening video, we're supporting Survive to Thrive this week in our Sharing is Caring campaign. For every share of the service while we're live, we'll donate $5 to this important organization doing great work for those affected by domestic violence and abuse. This is the final week of our harvest drawing sponsored by our garden team. Stop by the bookstore for fresh veggies and tomatoes and you'll be entered in the drawing. Get an additional ticket if you buy something in the bookstore while you're there. The winner will be announced next Sunday. Bookstore hours are Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The garden team is still looking for a few more willing volunteers to help out with the summer harvesting as we plan for our fall planting. Email our volunteer coordinator, Shonda Birch, for more details. In case you missed the first week of The Way of ACIM 1, it is not too late to join this 15-week study with longtime course student and practitioner Jennifer Feiereisel. The workshop takes place on Thursday evenings or Friday mornings, and you can learn more and register at unityhills.org. So, what does community and belonging mean to you? How do we cultivate community during times of social unrest or isolation? Our Spirit Circles will be exploring these questions during a special series which kicks off the week of September 13th. The series will run for 6 weeks, and we will have groups on various nights of the week. Registration will open next Sunday. Conscious Conversations facilitators John Fleming, Joni Lorraine, and Robin Llewellyn continue to shine light on the events that we are experiencing right now. And this month, they'll be exploring and demystifying policing and police reform. The three will be engaging in ideas that support participants in recognizing and releasing their own barriers to peace around this important topic. Join them on Thursday, September 3rd via Zoom at 7 p.m. You will need to register in advance at unityhills.org. The 27th annual World Day of Prayer is coming up on September 9th and 10th, and this year's theme is more important than ever, from fear to faith. While we won't be able to gather for our usual prayer vigil in the chapel, we have come up with some meaningful and sacred opportunities for you to participate in. In addition to hourly prayer videos on our Facebook page, we are creating a special Dissolving Your Fear ritual that you can participate in over the days leading up to the final hour of the World Day of Prayer. And then at 7 p.m. on Thursday, September 10th, our licensed Unity teachers will be leading us in a powerful service that will be live streamed to Facebook, YouTube, and our website. You can find all of the info on our website. We'll be sharing more details via our newsletter later this week. Together, we move from fear to faith as we affirm the truth that there is nothing but God here. Dr. Roger Teal is graciously offering us a healing opportunity as a spiritual community. On Sunday, September 13th from 2 to 4:30 p.m., he will lead our community Images to Breakthrough, which will be offered on a love offering basis and takes place via Zoom. The registration link will be set up early this week, so mark your calendars now. And finally, today is a very special day for our youth and family ministry. It's Fly Up Sunday, which marks the beginning of our new spiritual school year. Yesterday, we had so much fun with a drive-by parade, and we wanted to share it with all of you. I can personally tell you it was really heartwarming to see all of you parents and children that were able to make it out, as well as the teachers and angels. So children, you and your parents are invited to check out your virtual classrooms and meet your teachers today at 1 p.m. Details along with links can be found on our Youth and Family Ministry page on the website. And now, today's meditation will take place at the end of our message by the amazing Jean Lean. In the meantime, everything we need is here in God's presence. Take it away, Celebration. Oops.
Everything we need is here in your presence. Oh, everything we need is here in your presence, Spirit. Spirit, meet every need unspoken. Heal every broken heart. Lift every burden in your presence. Spirit, restore what has been stolen. Speak peace to every storm. Let there be freedom in your presence. Spirit. Everything we need is here in your presence. Oh, everything we need is here in your presence, Spirit.
Okay, great. Fabulous. We are here at an evolutionary point in time. It's a monumental evolutionary point in time. The pandemic that we're undergoing now has changed our lives in so many ways. It has changed how we go to work, if we go to work. It has changed the times that we're with our families. It has changed how we go to school, how we fly up on Fly Up Sunday. It has perhaps changed how we eat. Maybe we're cooking more meals at home. Yummy. It has changed when groups get together. Now we're all together on Zoom. It's a nice way to be together, but we miss the hugs. But it's different. It's a change. There is so much change going on right now on the planet. Like I said, it's monumental. This is not a little thing that just happened along the way with our lives. Something big is going on. Now, some of us, some would have us be in tremendous fear about this. They would have us be terrified that we're going to get ill or something worse is going to happen to us. But there's another way to look at it. If we can step back and look at it from a standpoint of spirit, by the way, that was lovely celebration. Oh, just gorgeous. If we can look at what's going on from a spiritual perspective, then what we might be able to see is that there is some change that's coming over us as a human family. That there is some kind of change that's being requested of us, of all humanity. That we're being asked to not go back to the way things were, not to go back to normal, maybe not even go to a new normal. We don't know what's out there. All of this change that's happening, we're not in control. So it must be that we're being asked to be different, that each one of us is being asked to do something different. You know, when someone hears that they need to go into a ministry or something, they call it a call. And I will say we're all being called. We're being called to emerge as something different. We're being called to do life a different way than we've done it before, to search inside of ourselves and to find out what our priorities are. What is it that life is about for me? And to be about that. We're being called to do that. So the question that we want to ask ourselves this morning is, am I preparing myself to emerge from this pandemic in a different way? Am I preparing myself to do that? Am I making changes within my own life, whether they be my practices or how I relate to people, or am I trying to enhance my awareness or increase the level of exercise or whatever it is? Am I making changes? Am I going to emerge a different person? Because, we all know what they say. If we don't make a plan to do something, then it doesn't happen. What's being asked is that we come to a higher state of consciousness. So let's talk just a little bit about consciousness. I won't spend a lot of time there, but there are several levels, and we generally talk about 4 of them. The first one is where we, and I'll go ahead and define consciousness. It's the sum total of all of our beliefs and our ideas and our thoughts that we have. And it also includes all the experiences that we've had. So if we've had trauma or if we've had moments of ecstasy and bliss, those are all included in our consciousness. So there are different levels. There's a level that says, I will never get ahead. That I try and try and try, but there are always these people that are out to get me, or the world is against me, or something happens. It's not my fault, but that's just the way it is. Now, that's called a victim consciousness. So then there's a level of consciousness that says, hey, wait, I can do something about this. I can say affirmations. I can change my world. I can cause things to happen. And this is called a manifestor consciousness. And then there's a consciousness that I know a lot of us have probably felt. It's maybe when we're praying or when we're singing or when we're speaking to a friend or something. When it's like when we get done, we say, boy, I don't know where that came from, but it just kind of came through me. And we attribute it to God. It's like God spoke through me. That's called vessel consciousness. Then there's a higher level of consciousness. And this is the one, it's called verity consciousness. But this is the one, rather than feeling like God is speaking through me, it is where we realize that I am the presence. That I am moving on the face of the earth as that presence of life. As that presence of light, as that thing itself. I'm it. I don't need to pray to something else out there. I don't need to wait for some God in the sky to come down and bless me with something. That I am that essence of life itself. I came here to be a beneficial presence on the planet and to uplift the rest of humanity. That's a verity consciousness. So if we're all being called to a higher level of consciousness, then something's got to change, right? Something wants to change. And when we talk about change, two things really have to happen. One is we need to release that which no longer serves, those ideas and beliefs that no longer serve. And then the second thing is we need to accept into our lives new beliefs and new ideas, things that will serve the higher state of consciousness. So when we talk about what we're going to release, the most obvious thing is the belief that we are the mind. Because we are not the mind. We are way bigger than the mind. I mean, we are immense spiritual beings. And it's not only size that makes us not the mind, it's also where the mind is located. It is located in a sense of duality. It is constantly thinking. It is constantly comparing. It is constantly analyzing, constantly assessing. And a lot of the times while it's doing this, it wants to make us feel good, right? And so it makes us think other people are at fault for things. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with that group. There's something wrong with her. That's what it does, to make us feel better. Because in and of itself, it doesn't feel whole. The mind does not feel whole. You might notice that if you just sit and be quiet and observe it for a while. You'll see that it's constantly searching for this or for that or this answer or that answer. It doesn't feel whole. It doesn't want to just sit and be. So this mind that's always doing this, now it doesn't only say that somebody else is the bad person or they did this, but it's also really, really ugly to us. Our own minds are like our worst critics. I mean, I don't know if yours does this, but mine says, you should have done this. You shouldn't have done that. You should have eaten this. You shouldn't have eaten that. You should have gone there. You shouldn't have gone there. You should have said this. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. I mean, shoulds all over the place. And that's what the mind does. And we are not that. But somehow we've got to get out from under the tyranny of it. Because the mind will never take us to a state of higher consciousness. It just won't. In order to do that, we have to focus on our higher self. And so that's where the accepting comes in. We have to release the tyranny of the mind. We have to accept something higher about ourselves. And that something higher is to accept that we're magnificent, that we are that essence of light itself. I'd like to read something. This is Sri Swami Sachidananda did a translation and commentary on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and this is what he had to say. Saint Thirulamar said, a person was running and running in search of the light. He spent his whole life doing that. Ultimately, he collapsed and died because he couldn't reach it. Millions and millions of people collapse in this way because they don't know that the light is within. Another saying of his is, even if you practice yoga for 8,000 years, you are not going to reach the light. By this, he means external yoga, reading books, learning all the scriptures by heart, going to pilgrimages to all the temples, ashrams, and churches in the world. That is all external practice. Some people waste thousands of years in such effort. If we only look within, we will see the light as if we were seeing our own image in a mirror. we are light. At a fundamental level, we are light. You know, science is now telling us that everything is energy. Everything. And we are too. We're made of energy. This physical presence is made of energy, and it's not nearly all of what we are, of the entire energetic presence that we are, but it's made of energy. See, we are light, focused down to a single point of consciousness. Each one of us, points of consciousness in this one unified field of energy. We call that God. That's what it is. It's a unified field. You know, we're not talking about things way out in the woo-woo land here. I mean, Unity's first principle is that God is all that there is. And the second principle, we're that. We're made of it. We're talking principle here. So, when are we going to get over the duality then? If we have this as our principle, when are we going to get over that dualistic belief? When are we going to accept that we're bigger than this mind and this body and allow that the energetic being that is us to flow? You know, when are we going to stop beseeching something outside of us to do something for us? Some people call that prayer. You know, Linda Martella Whitsitt, she wrote a beautiful, lovely little book called Can We Pray Without Talking to God? Where she addresses this. You know, do we believe in the first two principles or not? When are we going to get over this? But see, we think that higher consciousness is a mental thing. I'm gonna get there with my mind. I'm gonna do these exercises with my mind, or I'm gonna meditate in this way. And really, higher consciousness is about embodiment. It's about being able to sense that presence that we are internally. Being able to feel something inside of our physical body. It's about can I sense when there's a yes or when there's a no? Can I listen to that guidance that's always speaking? That inner self, that higher self? Do I know it? Can my mind be quiet long enough or focus on something else long enough so that I can actually listen to that which is arising from within? See, we might think this embodiment thing is kind of a new thing, but they knew it way back then. Way back then. The presence of God is within. How many times have we heard that? But we didn't quite get it, maybe. But it's literally within. See, if I can center myself in that place within where it resides, then I get to a place that's non-judgmental. It's a place where there's no duality. It's a place where there's kindness, where there's caring, where there's real compassion. Now, it might give me some guidance that's like outside the rules that I have planned for myself. It doesn't speak inside the box, it's outside the box. It may whisper to me something or urge me to go in a direction that is way outside anything that I thought I could be or thought I could experience. But it's always centered in love. And it's always lifting us up higher and higher and higher into that higher state of consciousness. That's what it's here to do. So can we Can we begin to experience life from that perspective? Can we? Can we get over the duality? Can we go into oneness? I've got some tools that I brought this morning. I always like tools, and I like acronyms. So the acronym today is ABC. And the A stands for allow. Allow ourselves to be open to the infinite possibilities that wait for us. Allow ourselves to be open that we are the ones, that we are that light. Openness. Can I allow it? The B stands for breath. Because if we want to activate our inner selves, then we must do something physically to allow the interior to be jostled, to be scrubbed down. And the breath is a wonderful way to do that. There's a breath called central channel breathing, which Dr. Sue Morter talks about in her book, The Energy Codes. You can get it at the bookstore. And you breathe everything in and out through the nose, and you start breathing as if down through the crown of the head, all the way down into the belly, and then out into the earth, and then up from the earth into the belly, and then out and through the crown. Let's do that one more time. In through the crown, all the way down, past the throat, the heart, into the belly, and out into the earth, and then up from the earth, all the way up to the belly, and then out through the crown. This method of breathing will help transform our bodies into something that can embody the higher states of energy, the higher states of consciousness that we want to reach. See, we can't reach it with a body that has energy stuck everywhere, perhaps in victim consciousness or manifestor consciousness. I mean, we've got energy stuck everywhere. So that breath will start cutting a swath through so that we can express the magnificence that we are. That's breath, the B. Now here comes the C word. Commit. I know. You know, we want to think about things. We want to, I'll think about doing this. Commitment is hard, right? It's only hard if you think it's hard. And once you make a commitment, then life becomes easy. See, when I felt a calling to go into the ministry, I was in this workshop and they asked us to commit to something, and I thought, well, and Tom Horn was there with me. I said, I commit to meditating every day. Every day. And I did. I went home. I set my alarm for 30 minutes early. I got up. I sat cross-legged in the bed when the dark, while Lance was still laying on his side of the bed, and I meditated every day. It was a commitment I made, and once I made it, it was just what I did. But it had such an impact on my life. And so going back to that question, am I preparing myself to emerge from this pandemic as a different person? Am I? We all can if we commit to something. It doesn't have to be meditation. It could be yoga. It could mean walking. It could mean reading the spiritual literature that you've not read before. But commit to something that's going to make you a different person. Because we're being called to do that by the presence, by the universal presence. We're being called to do that. We're each individually being called now. So let's just sit quiet just for a few moments in meditation. Just for a few moments. As we consider, I am that essence of life. I am that presence of love. I am the goodness and grace that I sometimes attribute to somebody else. I am it. How does it feel? How does it feel to be the one? To be one with all life? It is ours to be. And so as we gather ourselves and look within, we understand that, yes, there is only one presence, and it is the presence. And I could no more be separated from it than anything else that's impossible. For there's only one, and I'm made of it. We're each made of it. And knowing that, we know that infinite possibility is ours. Each of ours. It's ours. We don't have to earn it. We don't have to go find it in a cave. It is the essence of who we are. We're built out of it. Infinite possibility. Infinite love, infinite grace, infinite goodness. It's what we are. And so in this moment, we accept that about ourselves. We take a deep breath and say, yes, that's what I am. I commit to seeing that more and more each day. Because the wholeness that I am can never go away. And that I can never be deterred from seeing God in everything, because God is everything. And I am that. So when you're ready, you can open your sweet, sweet eyes. We've now reached the point in our service where it is our time to share of the bounty that is who and what we are. We know that giving is never a one-way street. There's always a reciprocal motion that when we give, we receive. And so we give for ourselves so that we can keep the flow of life and good moving through us. We have several ways to give. It's on your screen. You can look at those there. And you can text this online. There's the UCOH app, and you can also mail a check. So let's together say our offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say, The truth.
So I'd just like to remind everyone that we're going to have a Going Deeper where you can send in your questions to ask. I'll be sitting down and having a little chat. So we'd love to see what questions you might have about the talk today. And then together, can we all say our prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back for our Going Deeper. Jean, your message today was absolutely phenomenal. I saw so many people that were commenting on pieces of wisdom that you shared throughout the message, so I know that it was very meaningful. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments. And if you aren't watching Jean at the 8 a.m. service, which is on our Facebook Live, I highly encourage you to commit, one of those ABCs, commit to watching that, because she brings that every Sunday, and we are grateful for you. So as we wait for some questions to come in, I had a question. And what I wanted to know is, you know, we're here to transcend the mind, and that's not the language you used per se, but is it really such a bad thing? I mean, it does get a bad rap, and we have one. So kind of talk a little bit about that maybe.
Yes, so we do have a mind, and so it is part of this wholeness that is God as well. But it's really how it's being used. Einstein had that saying that we've got this wonderful servant,
Right.
the mind, and we've turned it into the master. And so we use the mind, but what we use it to is to focus, to turn its focus so that it focuses on our internal self.
Right.
On our higher self, and it gives it that focus. And then, of course, we use it for other things that we might need to do, you know, remembering how to get somewhere and all those things. We use it for that as well. But the proper use of the mind is not to let it lead, is to let it follow. It put the focus on the internal self.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, I saw some questions coming in, so let's see what we've got. Do you have more than one practice that helps you stay centered in your divinity? There are so many choices, it seems. And so how do you, maybe that's that turning the mind within, but maybe speak to that real quick.
Yes, I do have several practices. Of course, I do a lot of the energy codes work that Dr. Sue Morter recommends in her book and in her classes. I do a tremendous amount of that. Breath work is very huge for me. I also do yoga. That's my C, is that I'm committing to a yoga practice again which I had let drop by the wayside. Also, spiritual reading, spiritual texts, opening your mind to things that you might not have even considered. I mean, things that are outside of the normal of what you might read. That's good. It's always good to be in spiritual community.
Yes.
And to surround yourself with those that are like-minded as well. So there are many practices. Being out in nature, that in itself is a good practice.
Yeah, I heard that one, I think, this morning, right, at the 8 a.m. talk.
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, so I was curious. I know a lot of master teachers kind of talk about how when you get to that verity consciousness, sort of that ego or protective personality or your sense of the little self just dissolves away. And I think that creates, first I'm curious if you agree or disagree with that. And then how do you then keep the mind from getting in fear that it's going to go away, which then becomes another barrier? Does that question make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you're speaking, because the ego's
afraid it's going to go away.
Highest fear is that you're going to kill it.
Yes, so what do you recommend when that happens?
Yes, so one thing that I think we want to do is we a lot of times we do treat it as the enemy. We feel like it's the enemy with everything it's doing. But if we can actually befriend it,
right? If
we can befriend it and let it know, look, you're not totally going away, but you're going to have to focus on something else because we're making a change here. So in a sense, the ego does sort of fall away. We still have our mind. Either the mind and the ego are tied. We still have our minds, but it is no longer driving us.
Right.
It is just simply no longer driving us. Those things that used to make us upset, she thought this about me or that about me, or they said this. I mean, those things are like,
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No longer impacting.
Okay, so we've got another question here. Can you talk about the difference between a proficiency with and an embodiment of principle? So the difference, I guess, between knowing about and knowing.
Yes. Oh, that's a big.
It's a good question.
It's a good question. So, a lot of times, proficiency with can mean that my mind knows a lot of things. Mm-hmm. It can mean that, for instance, that my mind can go to places that are very high in consciousness.
Right.
And a lot of times we do that in meditation. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, we want to understand that if that was where we were intended to be all the time, then we wouldn't have come to this plane. Yeah. We would have stayed in the fourth and fifth dimensions. Right. But we came to the third dimension to be physical.
Right.
We wanted to fully embody the essence of that life here. And so that means using all of us, our higher energetic self as well as the physical energetic self. We want to fully be present here. You know, the masters did that. They could do miraculous things, appear and disappear at will, change form. And they could do all sorts of things. They were embodied. They knew their wholeness, their essence of life that was who and what they were in the body. And that's what embodiment is about.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Jesus said what he can do, we can do, and more.
And more.
Yeah. All right. So here's a question. So how do you balance all of the important things? So spiritual practices are important, but so is showing up for others and family and our physical well-being and self-care. And so what are some of the practices you use to kind of stay balanced so that we can be in the 3-dimension and be, evolving and growing?
Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm doing increasingly more is relying on my internal sense of what is for me and what is not for me.
Nice.
And that really has become a goal of mine.
Okay.
To listen internally and see if this is mine to do or not, because we're busy people. I mean, we have lives and we have families and we have a lot of things. I've got something going on now with my mother's requiring my time. And of course, I adhere to that. I take the time to be with her because I love her and I want to be there for her. So there are all these things that, of course, we have to balance. And at the same time, a practice like the breath work, you can do that on the go.
Right.
You don't have to sit down and take an hour to do it. You can do it while you're sitting in your car or while you're looking for the next spot in line at the grocery store or something like that. You can do those practices. And then just trying to be mindful of what the mind is saying.
Right.
Being
That's a
mindful
big
of what you're
one.
hearing. And then sensing how you're reacting to that.
Gotcha.
Any kind of strong reaction is usually a symbol that, okay, I need to do a little bit more of my practice here.
Beautiful. Well, I think what I loved everything in your talk this morning, but one of the question that you asked, am I preparing myself to emerge as a different person? Would you say that one of the things that you're doing is that listening in? You said that that's like a goal of yours. And are there other ways that you're preparing yourself, like personally?
Yes. Like I said, I've recommitted to a yoga practice.
Nice.
Because yoga merges the mind and the body and the breath.
Right.
And whenever I do practice that, and especially body awake yoga as taught by Dr. Sue, I feel a tremendous difference, and I can tell that I'm up-leveling as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So that is one of my practices. Also, recently I made a career change, as you know, and I'm starting to be more of the spiritual practitioner that I am, and focusing on that.
And I love that. You're taking your gifts and talents that are so important and so needed right now and offering them to the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tammy.
Let me see if there are any more. I think there is another question here. All right. So how is the evolution of technology useful in our spiritual evolution? It seems so, quote unquote, unspiritual and even disconcerting at times, and yet it's a big part of our reality. So
yes. So we're discovering. We used to. I used to have to buy an airline ticket, make a hotel reservation, and put my dog in the kennel if I wanted to go to some workshop somewhere that was not in town. And now I can just do it online. And so it's wonderful, the technology we have. Now, I know that we're losing that personal touch. And I look forward to the day when we can be together again in physical proximity. But we want to understand that the energetic presence is not limited by space. It's not limited by time. The energy that I hold can just as easily be transferred to you if you're a million miles away on Zoom as it can when we're in person, because there's no limit. So that's one of the things I wanted to say about that, is that in a way it's actually enhancing our ability to up-level, because it's allowing more people to connect in ways they couldn't have before.
I love that, yeah, because we have to be more intentional, and it allows us to develop that skill of connecting even when we're not in the same room. I love that. Thank you, Jean. Okay, one more question here is, you talked about the bodily experience of emotions. Can you talk about the activity of emotion on the body?
Oh, yes. So, well, okay, I'll try to go into a short explanation. Our bodies are, they're electrical, they're magnetic, and they're also chemical, and we have the nervous system. So when we experience an emotion, if we have any kind of resistance to it, or if it causes us any sense of pain whatsoever, that's a signal to me that there's something in my energetic field, in my energetic field, that is not quite clear. There's some stuckness there.
Right.
And so emotions have a tremendous impact on the body. Tremendous. Because if we're not centered in our higher self, they can cause all kind of chemical reactions. They can cause blockages. They can cause us eventually to get ill from not being able to just pass through the energetic field. And so emotions are, now we don't want to stuff them. That's not the answer. That is not the answer. The answer is to work with our consciousness and embody enough and do enough work in that way that it, like I said, it just passes through our energy field, that we don't have to hang on to it and let it cause us harm.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, I had a personal question I wanted to ask you, because I've been thinking a lot about the self-help movement, right? Which is helpful, and certainly we need a healthy ego, but how do we, you talked about our wholeness earlier, so how do we approach when we need to work on some, like, the subconscious beliefs and stuff like that? How do we approach that from a place of wholeness as opposed to brokenness or getting trapped in this repetitive cycle of always having to do another self-help book? Do you know what that question, does that question make sense?
Yes, it does, and it's a good question. So the first thing I would say is that the universe always provides exactly what we need.
Right.
Always. So when it is time for me to do work on a particular thing that comes in, that I have, a
Right.
particular issue, the universe is going to provide me the exact experience so that comes to my awareness.
Right.
And usually it doesn't feel very good.
No.
but it's just, and here's where we can get in there without getting all tangled up in the story of it.
Right.
Is that if we can just step back and say, oh, the universe is just giving me information.
Right.
Rather than,
yeah.
I am not strong. I am not weak. I am not there yet. Instead of saying those things, just say, oh, thank you, universe, for providing me the perfect information. There's something here for me to work on. Because, Tammy, every time we have something to work on, that's really not what's happening.
Okay.
What's happening is the universe wants us to recognize what we are on the other side of that.
Right.
And so that's why those things happen for us. So if there is a particular book that's going to help us or a particular teacher that's going to help us, we can also rest assured that will be provided as well. We just have to be sensitive enough to listen.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take one more question because I know we've been at this for a little while here, and thank you all for sticking in and asking such wonderful questions.
Great questions.
So this one, does meditation help us become aware of those areas where we are so far out of balance? How do we know what we work on? Does that question make sense? Like, how do we know where to go, kind of a thing?
Yes. So meditation is always helpful. It's always helpful because it allows us, if we can get to the point where we can quiet the mind, it allows us to sit in that place where we can recognize more of our real self and who and what we are.
Yeah.
So there are some types of meditation, like there's an inquiry type of meditation where you sit with a question.
Right.
So if you're looking for where I might work on next, you might inquire, ask yourself the question
That's a great idea.
before you go into meditation, or you can ask yourself that question before you fall asleep at night. Those are things that could be helpful for you. As well as just picking, and this is not meditation, but just it's mindfulness. It's picking up the little clues that you feel around you.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Well, so do you have any closing comments or thoughts? And I was going to ask if you would close us out for sure in prayer, because I love your prayer so much.
Oh, I would
So-
love to close in prayer.
Okay, beautiful. So any
Yes.
closing
Yes.
final thoughts, and then a closing prayer, and we love you guys. Yeah.
Yes, we do love you. Closing thoughts, be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself. So let's just go into prayer.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be here to share with those who are like-minded, or those who are interested, or those who are just simply lights shining where they're shining. I'm grateful for knowing that this one presence is fully present in all of creation, because it's the only thing there is. As Lance says, there's nothing but God here. And there isn't. So this one essence, this one life, it is what I'm made up of. Every bit of me, from my toes to the tippy top of my head to the energetic being that I am, way beyond this physical body. I'm made of this God stuff, and each one of us is made of this God stuff. We are it. And so we're unified. We're one in this unified field. So in that place of unity, I speak my word, knowing that it has power, that I have the ability to create, that I have the ability to speak truth. And I do that now. I speak for each one that is listening now, later, wherever, that the essence of who they are comes to them in a deep and abiding and meaningful way. That the elevation that we are seeking, that it is clear to us, that it is clear what direction we take, that we find that going along the path is easy, because it is easy. That we find that as we are lifted, we lift others up as well. And as we follow our path, we find that which we are intended to be: whole, radiant, magnificent beings of light. What a time for us to come together on this planet. What a difference we make. I'm just so grateful for this awareness. And so I let it be into that law of love. And so it is.
So it
Amen.
is. Amen. Beautiful. Thank you, Jean, so much.
Thank you, Tammy.
And thank you,
My
all
joy.
of you. Namaste. We love you.
Namaste.